welcome to Doors to Hope and Healing, an inside look at foster care and adoption needs in Connecticut. My name is Jacqueline Ford. I am humbled and honored to have worked for the Department of Children and Families for over 25 years. And although I may be familiar with many of the topics I bring to you, I am inviting experts in those fields to share their knowledge. Joining me in the studio is Michael Schultz, Aaron Wiebe, and Bonnie Sturpka from the Department of Children and Families Wilderness School. The Wilderness School program model has been designed specifically around serving at-risk adolescents and their families who are struggling in their homes and communities, and who face above-average challenges in their lives. The Wilderness School has aimed to help participants discover a broader knowledge of their own strengths and to enhance their capabilities in relation to their role in their family and community social systems. In this effort, the Wilderness School has expanded its role as a family engagement center and partner in supporting the health and wellness of the department's workforce. Thank you all so much for being with me today. We're going to have a conversation, so I'm going to ask you some questions about the Wilderness School and your program, and whoever feels that they want to answer that question can do so. I'm honored to have had a chance to be at one of the graduations for the Wilderness School, and it was so inspirational from the testimony of the staff to just how enriched the students left that program, feeling that program. So if we can start with just an overview of what the Wilderness School is, the history, what the program is.
Great. I'd like to jump in on that.
Sure.
So I'm honored to be our programs director, and we're entering our 47th summer of programming. The first summer was 1974, and the program was formed as you so well put, as an alternative program to provide support and service to generally youth, teenagers, struggling in some phase of their life, whether it's in their home, their community, their school. And the way the process has worked is these folks are recognized by somebody that cares in their community, and a referral's made. Our programming has always been based on outdoor expeditions, similar to an Outward Bound model. Historically speaking, it came from those models of programming where youth would be assembled in groups of around 10, with a couple of really caring and supporting instructors, and they would go out on an expedition on the trail. And on the expedition, there's a series of challenges or challenging activities. Certainly being within a group of 10 people is challenging in of itself, especially living together as if you're on a vessel on a journey. The activities are based on climbing over mountains, climbing up rocks, paddling down rivers, and all the skills are developed through those activities. More importantly, the skills of figuring out how to deal with yourself as you're facing adversity, or to coordinate with other people, how to work together, really, is a huge challenge, not just the mountains, but the metaphor of the challenge of how do I deal with this feeling, or how do I deal with climbing this mountain. And so that in 1974 was the core programming, and it was partnered with a follow-up program. So the follow-up program says if you come on an expedition, well, you can join us for the rest of the year. So the idea is we can stay connected. So if a young person has learned a lot, grown a lot, experienced themselves differently, they can stay connected to that and receive support from the program throughout the year. And as the program has grown, our programs have diversified. We still offer that core program, that 20-day expedition in the summer with a follow-up program. But how many years later? 47 summers later. It's amazing.
Well, that is amazing. So can we talk about the current staffing and the training, what the training is like to be able to lead these youth?
Do you want to pick up on that, or do you want...
Let me pick up on that briefly.
Okay, sure.
So our training is extensive. We have wonderful staff that come and join us every summer. 28 seasonal staff. Our full-time staff are amazing, and it's all based on the heart. It's all based on the compassion you have for other people in this world, your compassion for youth, your compassion for families, and we build upon that. The skills are often based, certainly all the technical skills, how to set up rock climbs, how to be on an expedition, meeting all basic needs, cooking outside, hygiene outside, how to pack backpacks, how to use the equipment. But moreover, it's really about the responsiveness that our staff have to youth and families, especially at a point when they're struggling. How can we help that young person find a strength within themselves to take that next step and to have a different outcome than they might have had before? For example, if they're really angry about something, maybe they would haul off and say some things that they might regret to somebody that they ultimately care about or that they're struggling with. How can we deal with that feeling in a way that yields a different result? How can we help that person figure out what some options are, what some choices are, how to manage what's going on physiologically to create a different outcome? And it's a place to practice, really. And so our training is about developing all of those skills across the spectrum, whether it's a technical skill to a specifically an interpersonal skill.
Nice.
So it's much more than a job. When these, when your trainers are coming in to take on this role and to lead the youth, when you talk about heart, they really have to have that connection and that willingness to really make a difference in the life of our youth.
Absolutely.
So what is the enrollment process? How can parents, refer to the Wilderness program?
Well, that would be me.
Okay.
I'm Bonnie.
Hi, Bonnie.
And I lead the enrollment team at the Wilderness School. And we encourage parents or family members or foster parents or social workers or a referring agent to call and initiate, and any of those folks can start the process or get the ball rolling. It can begin with a phone call to the Wilderness School. Or you can go to the website, and our website is located on the DCF website page, and you can find us by doing a search for DCF Wilderness School, and we should pop up. Or you can go on the State of Connecticut Department of Children and Families website, and we also have a bullet listed on that page to find our website. So once you find information about us, there's a video on there that people can watch. There's all kinds of information. All the forms are posted there, and then you can eventually you would call me and ask for Bonnie, and if you can't get me, then you'll get one of the other enrollment people in the office, and we do what's called a telephone pre-screening. So we talk to parents, we find out what their connections are in the community, in their lives, and who would be a good referring agent or somebody to partner with the family to take care of the enrollment process.
So a family can't just enroll on their own. They need to have that
connection
in the community.
Well, if they do, usually young people have connections in the community, whether it's somebody in a school system, a therapist, somebody, a youth leader. There are youth service bureaus throughout the state of Connecticut, and the youth service bureaus all refer, and social workers, if a youth has a social worker, a probation officer. There's a lot of kids go through juvenile review boards. If they maybe get in trouble in a very, very minor way and they want to keep the kids out of court, they send them to youth service bureaus or other community partners. And so we might be a nice option for some of those kids.
I see. So talk about the orientation process. So you said there's a phone pre-screen, and then from there, what's the next step?
The next step is to fill out the paperwork, and then prior to coming, there are options to come to an orientation to get accepted. A youth who's applying to a 20-day, which is our longest expedition, would have to come to the orientation in order to be accepted. 5-day students are also encouraged to get involved and come out either on an orientation or another 1-day program, just so they know what they're getting into, because we're very different from a summer camp. So we are an experience, an expedition, so the families and the youth need to elect to be there. That's part of the screening criteria, is that the students have to want to be there. Even if they're coerced in the beginning, by the time they get to the point of coming on the expedition, they have to choose to be there.
Okay.
So the orientations happen. The first one, I think, is in April, and then
Oh,
we
wow,
move on
coming
from
up.
there. So they go all the way up, and we do rolling admissions. So it's not too late to apply. We have lots of openings right now.
What is your season run? What are the dates of your season?
The courses begin at the end of June and they end in mid-August. So they kind of go simultaneously. So we're offering 4 groups of 20-day students and 7, I think, 5-day or 6 5
6 5-day, 1 7.
and
I
1
believe.
7-day. Yes.
And how do you determine which youth is better for that week as opposed to the 3 weeks, right? It's almost 3-week program. Is it up to the student and the family, or is it up to what your assessment is at orientation?
Both.
Okay.
So it's up all the way through. It starts with a telephone pre-screening where I talk with the parents about the youth's comfort and their willingness to be there, their desire to be there, their maturity level, and a lot of other things. And it's very much a case-by-case basis. There are policies outlined on our website, and we screen on a case-by-case basis. So those are sort of guidelines that we use, but really it's up to the individual youth and their readiness for our programs. So a parent might say that my young 13-year-old daughter is definitely doing a 20-day. And then because of things that are going on, we may feel like she doesn't have the maturity yet to make it on a 20-day. So we get her oriented and we maybe bring her out for a couple of 1-days. Maybe we do, this year for the first time, we have an overnight orientation. So we can let some of those young people have an experience going out overnight to see how it is. And we can also get a better flavor on their ability to, whether a 5-day is better to start or a 20-day.
Does everybody have the opportunity for the overnight orientation, or is that just for the, or is that what the orientation entails, an overnight, or is it a day?
They're usually a day. We have one overnight available, and it's there are spots, and once it's full, it's full. But anybody is welcome to come if they're ready, and if they get in touch with us in time, and we can get paperwork. They're welcome until it's full to enroll.
Do the overnight, and that really would be the best way to experience it in a kind of a little clip of what that is. So tell me about how families best prepare their children for this excursion that they're going to be on, whether it's a week or it's the 20 days.
Well, I think coming to the program and visiting is a big step. When you come to an orientation, you get more of a feel for who we are as a staff, who we are as how we interact, as well as what does it feel like to be outside in the woods. Obviously, the wilderness has a lot of connotations. There might be a lot of preconceived concerns, fears, or worries, or apprehensions. You know, are there going to be bears? Are there going to be bugs? Am I going to be dirty? How do I deal with this? What are the other kids going to be like? Is this like boot camp? And it's not a boot camp. Our staff we're really about helping people make informed choices and taking those steps and helping them take those steps. And so if they come to an orientation, they can get a flavor for what the wilderness school is all about. It's like an appetizer. And so we're also offering student agent family days. That's what we've named them. And essentially they're 1-day programs spread throughout the year. It's similar to an orientation, but it's a little different in that that a young person can come out and participate with a family member or 2, or sometimes 3. Additionally, if there's, say, a caring person in their support system, a social worker, or somebody from a youth service bureau, a counselor at school, a mentor, great.
Attend with them.
Right, they can attend and come out for a day. Usually our days run around 9:30 to 3:30. Sometimes we have some transportation options. We'll do ropes courses, we'll do canoeing days, we'll do some rock climbing days, etc. And there's an opportunity for folks just to become a little bit more knowledgeable about what it feels like to be out on a wilderness school course.
How do you measure the program's efficacy?
So one of the ways is that we've just brought in 2 research teams that are looking at that very question. One is from North Texas State University. The other is the University of New Hampshire. And You know, I want to backtrack a little bit before I answer that question specifically, and that is that the program is a prevention and an early intervention and a treatment and a postvention program. That adventure-based therapy is a very legitimate therapy for families and their children. And I use that term in the broadest sense. And so a lot of where the program has evolved and is evolving is including the home, the school, the community much more deliberately into the process. That many of our students and their families don't necessarily respond to the typical talking kinds of therapies that are available. And in many situations, this change of context helps free people and liberate them in a very different way. Our staff are really trained. You know, we have 4 full-time staff. Bonnie and Aaron are 2 of them. 2 others who aren't here are Scott Basil and Kim Thorne Canellis. They all have master's degrees. They're all clinically trained, and they lead this operation during the course of the year. The 28 seasonal people that come at different times of the year. So one group will actually be here from April 1st and then be here through about the middle of November. These tend to be our more experienced people. And the longevity of the program is based on who the people are that come.
Sure.
And so with the research piece and our linkage with universities, many of the folks who are working with us now were student interns at one point, were brought to us through their academic institutions. Many are with us for 3 to 4 years at a time. So we have a really nice blend of experienced people and less experienced people who do have all the skills and the motivation to really make a difference in the lives and relationships of our students. So it's very much a parallel process. And I think when people come out, it's a little hard to talk about it here.
Yeah.
It's like swimming. You got to kind of be in the water.
Yeah.
But when you get there, you see the quality of relationships with our staff. And you can just feel that it's a holding environment. It does incorporate the heart and the head and the actions, because a lot of the work is about doing things. It's kind of like the Wizard of Oz therapy. You know, we want to get people, bring me the broomstick or the Wicked Witch of the West.
Yeah.
We want to get them out there doing things.
Right.
And that's one of the ways that we engage. Now, the research is looking at things like school performance, transfer of learning from expeditions back into the family, so family relationships and family functioning. Also skill development, because as Aaron and Bonnie were talking, they are doing different things. Being part of a group and knowing when to step in, when to step back, when to leave space for someone else. They're learning techniques around rock climbing and canoeing. They're aware of the physical environment around them, and nature is a healing force. You know, what plants you should stay away from, what berries are okay to eat, what water is okay to drink, what you need to do to make the water drinkable.
Right.
All those kinds of things. And the idea is we want them to take what they've learned and to bring it home with them, bring it back to the community.
Oh, what a valuable experience.
Yeah, and that's what the research is about.
And you also do some agency development within the regions and staff
Yes.
development. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So that's a little more of my realm. So in addition to overseeing the Wilderness School, I oversee the Office for Organizational Climate and Staff Wellness, which is much more broad. And the wellness, as you know, our staff are like first responders. They are, as we speak, they are out there, you know, knocking on doors and dealing with some really significant things that go on in communities. And so what we've been able to offer at the Wilderness School is an opportunity for our staff to have wellness and some level of respite and also team building, so that when they come out, we have them rock climbing and we have them canoeing, or we do a lot of group games. We have them often for a day. We also go out to the communities where our regions are located. So we will often go to state parks and things like that to help the staff to work through the kind of stress that they deal with day to day and to get to know each other a little bit better personally and professionally. So we think about the organization as kind of a blended family, There's a lot of us.
Yeah.
We're different generations. There's lots of moving parts. We now have a new commissioner. We have a new executive team. And so like any family, when you have changes like that, there's lots of adjustments. And so our role is to help folks adjust. And we are out there probably more than people come out to the wilderness school, because even though we're a relatively small state, there's places in Norwalk or Norwich or way out where it's, to get to East Heartland is a couple of hours.
Right.
And that's where the prevention piece comes in as well. So for our staff, we're really focusing on their wellness. We want them to be prepared to deal with the trauma and the tragedy and the heartache and the joy of what being a social worker is all about. And here we are at Social Work Month.
Yes, we are.
And we need to take care of the people who take care of the people. That's really the bottom line.
That's
and
very true.
we also, Jackie, have expanded that to other agencies because we are part of a child welfare system. We have our own role, but we're part of a system that includes schools and courts and healthcare facilities and things like that. So we have our private providers who often come out. We had a group of state troopers out a year ago, about 40 of them. We've worked with other state departments as well to give them an opportunity to better integrate the person, the professional, and the organizational in their stress-related work, whatever that might look like. And our research team coming in is going to study that. That's going to be one component of the study. And then the other measurement is really going to be looking at the family inclusion part. We believe that the results or the outcomes are going to be more sustainable when we're working with the whole of the family. And that's really the dimension that we've taken things to in the last 3 to 4 years.
Well, you are running a very impressive facility there in East Heartland, right? East Heartland, yes.
You got it.
Yes.
And I'm so thankful that you came on. I think that you're impacting our youth and our colleagues are benefiting from the work that you're doing. So thank you all for coming and joining me on Doors to Hope and Healing.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Doors to Hope and Healing. As you learned in this segment, the Wilderness School has and will continue to have a positive impact upon the self-esteem and interpersonal skill enhancement of adolescents attending the program. Now I invite you to take a walk with us as we tour through the Wilderness School.
We had good instructors. That was one of the best things.
It's one of the best summer that I've had in a long time.
It's about progress, not perfection.
I challenged myself to do something that I was scared to do.
The biggest reward of being at the Wilderness School, or one of the biggest ones, is being a part of this community. You're a family now, and people know who you are, and you start to learn names and get to know people from around the state and people that really care about you. They'll always be welcome here.
Well, the standard course, 20 days, starts off with initiatives, problem solving, and team building.
The Falls Village campsite, and then from Falls really Look at them. This is so scary.
Those feet nice and wide.
The service project is learning how to give to others, and doing that in such a way that the kids are proud of themselves.
I can't believe I did it.
One-on-one.